Okay, well this video is for Math 95, and this is for a topic called rational expressions, which is another name for algebraic fractions. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is essentially reducing fractions. So let's take a look at a simple fraction that needs to be reduced, something like 6 over 15. And the idea here is that we say, oh, these are both divisible by 3. 3 goes into 6 twice, 3 goes into 15 5 times, and so this reduces to 2/5. Now, what I want us to do is to think about what actually is happening here when we do this, okay? Because what's actually happening here is that we factor the 6 as 3 times 2, and we factor the 15 as 3 times 5, and when we cancel these 3's, the reason why we cancel them out is because they make 1. Okay? 3 over 3 is equivalent to 1, and when you multiply something by 1, you don't change its value. So that's what we're doing when we reduce a fraction, is that we're eliminating these redundant factors of 1. Notice that this is all about multiplication. See the times signs here? This is all about multiplication and, to a certain extent, division, since the fraction bar represents division. But it does not involve adding and subtracting. One of the most common mistakes people make with an algebraic fraction is they see something like x plus 2 over x plus 4, and they want to cancel the 2 with the 4. But you can't do that because the 2 and the 4 are not factors. They're not being multiplied, they're being added, and so this thing would just stay the way that it is. Okay, so that's a little introduction to this topic. Let's see, the board is a little bit messy today, so I'm going to keep this bottle of whiteboard cleaner handy in case I need it. All right. So let's take a look at some of the problems on the assignment. The key here, just like in that example with the numerical fraction I just showed you, is to split the numerator and denominator up into factors. Okay, so here in the denominator, r squared minus 4, this is a difference of squares. It factors as r plus 2 times r minus 2. And then this r minus 2 on the bottom will cancel with the r minus 2 on the top. And then, just like when we have 1/2, we'll need a 1 up on top there. And so this will reduce to 1 over r plus 2. Okay. Let's see here. Problem 4 starts out, we've got 7x plus 14x squared on the top and 14x on the bottom. So this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago about don't get roped in to try to cancel things that are not factors. Now this 14 right here is a factor, okay? It's the only thing that's happening to it is it's getting multiplied by the x. On top, the 14 is not really a factor because what's happening is that you're adding it to something else. All right? So what we want to do is factor the top again and then look to cancel something. So we've got a common factor of 7 in the top and also a common factor of x. So we factor out the 7x and we're left with 1 plus 2x. So now that everything's a factor, we can look to cancel. The 7 goes into 14 twice. The x's cancel out with each other. But again, this 2 won't cancel this 2 because of that plus sign. And so we end up with 1 plus 2x over 2. Okay. Let's keep working on these. Let's see what we get to. Problem 6. And so a lot of this has to do with that unit that we talked about on factoring before we had the midterm. that it's going to be really important that you retain some memories of how to factor these polynomials, okay? So this one up here, this is a difference of squares. This is c plus 7 times c minus 7. And then on the bottom, you have a common factor of 3. When you factor out the 3, you're left with c minus 7. So now everything's been factored, we can look for common factors. And here are two common factors, and we're left with c plus 7 over 3. Okay, problem 8. Let's see, y plus 8 on top, and y squared plus 11y plus 24 on the bottom. Okay, so the top is prime. It's a prime polynomial. It can't be factored. And so it's just going to stay y plus 8. On the bottom, we've got some choices. We need factors of 24 that will add up to give us 11. And sometimes looking up here can give us a hint to what we might want to try first. If you see a y plus 8 up there, well, there's a good chance that you're going to come up with a y plus 8 on the bottom. And if that's the case, then the 8 times 3 will give you the 24, and the 8y and the 3y will add up to make 11y. So there's the factorization. And again, this and this cancel out. We're left with 1 on the top and y plus 3 on the bottom. Okay. Problem 10. On the top, 3y minus 3, and on the bottom, y squared minus 2y plus 1. Okay, on the top, we've got a common factor of 3. 3 times parentheses y minus 1. On the bottom, so this is trinomial, right? And it's pretty straightforward. There's only one way that you can get 1, and that's by 1 times 1. And so this is going to be y minus 1 times y minus 1. And that matches with one of the factors on the top, so these will cancel. We'll be left with a 3 on the top and a y minus 1 on the bottom. Okay. Let's look at a couple more here. Problem 16, we've got x squared minus 3x on top, and x squared minus 4x plus 3 on the bottom. So on the top, we've got a common factor of x. So we can factor out that x, and we'll be left with x minus 3. And on the bottom, factors of 3 that add up to 4, we don't really have a choice. It's only going to be 3 times 1. So it's x minus 3 times x minus 1. These cancel each other out. We're left with x on the top and x minus 1 on the bottom. Okay, let's see here. Problem 20. We've got a squared minus a minus 6 on top and a squared minus 9 on the bottom. Okay. The denominator, this is a difference of squares. It factors as a plus 3 times a minus 3. Up here we need factors of 6. That have a difference of 1, so that's going to be 3 times 2. And this is a minus 1, so we want the 3 negative and the 2 positive. Okay, now that we've set that up, those cancel each other out. We're left with a plus 2 on top, a plus 3 on the bottom, and that's lowest terms. Okay. Let's see here. What else? else. Let's do one more here, problem 22. X squared plus 4x on top, x squared minus x minus 20 on the bottom. Okay, so the top, you've got a common factor here, right? These both have x in them, so factor out the x on the top. On the bottom, we need factors of 20 that have a difference of 1, so that's 5 times 4. And again, since this is -1, we want the 5 negative and the 4 positive. And once we do that, these match up so they cancel each other out. We're left with x on top, x minus 5 on the bottom. Okay, so you can see that the whole idea of reducing fractions is all about factors and factoring. Okay, so being able to factor the numerator and the denominator in this topic is really, really important. All right, as always, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. Thank you.